I will open up the administrative board meeting for May 25th, 2021 at 7:01 p.m. Sandy, you can take roll call.
Yep. I have trustees Chris Samples,
Here.
John Talbot,
Here.
William Luxinger,
Here.
Nathan Maz,
Here.
Jen Christensen.
Here.
Bill Motisi is absent. President Rick Worm is absent. Treasurer Brenda Onabini.
Here.
I clerk Sandy Maz. I'm here. Public Works Supervisor Brett Berge.
Here.
And then just as a reminder, since I didn't roll call him in this way, that William has already been approved as President Pro Tem
I no longer have to say that.
pursuant to our ordinances.
Give me the agenda looks different
I
than
know.
what I'm used to seeing. So I guess we're moving straight to the consent agenda. So at this time, does any board member wish to pull an item from the consent agenda for further discussion?
Would you like me to read them out loud first?
Yeah, I need a different highlighted one then.
All right, yeah. All right, tonight for,
Mine is in different order.
I know. Tonight
Probably
for
in the
approval
store.
on
Oh.
the consent agenda is item number 1, the April 27th, 2021 administrative board minutes. Item number 2 is the bills payable warrant list dated May 25th, 2021. Item number 3 is resolution number 21-22, a resolution approving and authorizing execution of proposal from Procom Systems, Inc. for fiber installation from Village Hall to well number 2. Item number 4 is repair of the 2012 International dump truck by International in an amount not to exceed $2,700. Number 5 is resolution number 21-23, a resolution approving and authorizing execution of laboratory professional services agreement with PDC Laboratories, Inc.
Now, am I good to say now?
Mhm.
All right. At this time, does any board member wish to pull an item from the consent agenda for further discussion? Hearing none.
I move to place agenda items 1 through 5 inclusively as consent agenda items. Further, I move that all items be considered together as a consent agenda.
I'll second.
John made a motion to approve.
Yeah.
Chris made a motion to approve consent agenda items 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. It was seconded by John. Is there any discussion?
Is that a motion to put the items on the consent agenda for approval in a single vote?
That's the way I understood it.
All right, not voting on them yet. That's the second motion. You said something different.
There's a stickler for details, isn't she?
I mean,
I understood what he meant.
did you understand what I was trying to say?
Yes,
Yes.
All right.
Your
Is
Honor.
there any discussion further?
No.
Roll call.
Jen,
Yes.
Bill is absent. John,
Yes.
Nathan,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
William.
Yes.
I move to adopt items 1 through 5 inclusively on the consent agenda in a single group pursuant to the omnibus vote procedure specified in the Illinois Municipal Code.
Second.
Chris made a motion to adopt the consent agenda with items 1 through 5 inclusively pursuant to the omnibus vote. Seconded by John. Is there any discussion?
You need a roll call on that?
Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Bill is absent. John,
Yes.
Nathan,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
William.
Yes.
Yes.
Motion passed at 7:04. There are no items removed. Moving on to the president. Rick, on the agenda here as the appointment and swearing in of zoning board and appeals and planning and zoning commission members. So Rick is making the appointment of Jennifer Maz to a 2-year term and Jared Doan to fill a remaining 1-year term.
I do need a motion and a second and a vote on that. John, you previously had made the motion to the consent of the appointment of Jennifer Maz and Jared Doan to the Planning and Zoning Commission and Zoning Board of Appeals. Do you want to make something like that, or say, I make a motion as Sandy just set forth?
I'll make a motion as Sandy mentioned.
Second.
John made a motion to appoint Sandy Maz and Jared Doan. to-
Jennifer Maz? I already have it.
There's a lot in this room, so.
I haven't done this in a while. Jennifer Maz and Jared Doan to to the Zoning Board of Appeals and Planning and Zoning Board. And Chris seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll take a roll call vote.
John,
Yes.
Nathan,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
William,
Yes.
Jen,
Yes.
and Bill is absent.
Motion passed at 7:06. On to the easy stuff now.
Hold on. Can I swear them in real quick so they don't have to hang out?
We probably should do that.
Let's swear them in.
All right.
Great idea.
That way they don't get caught by the train going back.
Your mic to Jennifer.
Absolutely. Train's probably still there.
Yeah, that would actually be kind of funny.
Jared, you have to stand with Jennifer up there.
Oh. Should we go all the way over
I'm not it.
All right.
and go any further?
Oh, no, he was.
Hope he's all right.
He was-
There you go.
Set that stuff down.
All right, raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name,
I, Jennifer Maas,
having been appointed,
have been appointed
I'm sorry, William is messing me up, having been appointed to the office of Zoning Board of Appeal Member,
of Zoning Board of Appeal Member,
Planning and Zoning Commissioner
Planning and Zoning Commissioner
in the Village of Davis Junction,
in the Village of Davis Junction,
County of Ogle,
County of Ogle,
State of Illinois,
State of Illinois,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the Office of Planning and Zoning
of the Office of Planning and Zoning
and Zoning Board of Appeals
and Zoning Board of Appeals
Commissioner
Commissioner
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Funny.
I don't have a pen, but Fergie does.
Do I even?
Yep.
Can I get a copy of the Constitution of the State of Illinois?
I'm sure it can be found online.
Probably just make you mad.
Oh, okay, there you go. I'm sure I had to swear to the same
Yeah.
thing, but
Good luck.
damned if I could coach anything from it.
Thank you. Congratulations. All right,
Done.
move on. Clerk.
Yes.
All right. Do you have anything?
Yes. We originally were going to try and do sexual harassment and general board training on June 8th before the regular board meeting. Margaret is unavailable that day. She needs to be in another municipality. However, June has 5 Tuesdays in it. And so I think we're going to take advantage of that 5th Tuesday and have at a regular meeting time and do the training at that time. Does anybody object to that?
Why are you looking at me?
Okay. It will be as a special meeting.
So it would be the 29th.
Yes.
Let me see.
What day is it?
It's a
It's a
Tuesday
Tuesday.
at 7 p.m.
Thanks, Fred.
I couldn't resist because I thought I must have my days mixed up.
It'll be the 5th one.
Yeah, it'll be the 29th Tuesday in June. There are 5 Tuesdays in June.
Somebody give me.
I wish it was 5 pages.
Okay, so not hearing any objection, I'll go ahead and tell Margaret that the majority of us will be available on that evening. Considering it's a typical Tuesday, most of us don't plan anything.
I did. Speak for yourself.
And then the only other thing I have is.
Is she gonna make this fun?
After these. So, good.
Margaret's
Hold on,
fine.
I gotta get
Yes.
on my calendar. I gotta mark it down.
Brenda, do you have anything?
No, not at this time.
Not this time. Moving on to the reports of the committee, community development and events.
I am still working on vendors for our farmer's market, which starts next Wednesday evening. We also have the garage sales coming up June 10th, 11th, and 12th with the communities of Stillman Valley and Byron. And I believe our signs just came in.
Yeah, I gotta
For
go
that.
them up.
I could have swore that they were last weekend because
No, those were residents who decided to do some on their own.
Flop.
there were a lot.
There was?
What'd we call that 2 years ago? The 610?
Yep.
We want to do 610 days or
10.
explore 610. Last year it got canceled. This year, we're still uncertain where we would be, so we decided that we would just move forward with the garage sales for this year, and then hopeful next year that we can dump all the other extras that we wanted back on the June 10th days.
610 day.
We'll
Yeah.
see what we can do.
Yeah,
Sounds
but
good.
our goal is next year to have back
Sure.
what we originally tried to plan.
Anything else, Jen?
And then we have the fireworks on July 3rd. I actually got asked today by people if we were still having them,
Why
and I
would we?
promoted them along with our movie in the park.
Nicely done.
And that is all.
I have a question for Jen.
Go ahead, Glenda.
Is there gonna be a movie in the park in June? I've had some people ask me.
No, right now, we're just sticking to the July one because this year we have so many activities slated in the park, and we were concerned with tournaments ending to be able to have a movie after they were done playing. So we just kind of stuck to the July 3rd one right now.
Okay, thank you.
Moving on to my, are you done?
Yeah.
Moving on to myself. I got an email from the office today that came from LR Communications. You do not recall, and for Nathan, LR came to the board quite a few times, and then they came to the board most recently. They want to run fiber from the end of their line on Prairie Moon, which would be the easement or the ditch to our water tower. They want us to grant them an easement on the east side of our property to the back of the tower to go up to their antenna. But that goes beyond the scope of our original agreement. So we asked them to present us with an offer, and apparently they finally did. And the clerk has informed me that the offer that they have presented us is only $10 more of a one-time payment than what they're currently paying.
No. Not
So the question and my thought was, I'm with you, John. I think we made it fairly clear that, and more background. The agreement that we currently have in there has language that dictates or specifies that they are to provide the village with some free service in regards to internet and email access and stuff like that. However, we no longer use that. We haven't used it in a few years. So the agreement between the two parties is more or less outdated. However, it does have a timetable that is still enforceable. However, we've just elected not to use that service anymore because it wasn't as reliable. So our position is they're now coming to us wanting to change the agreement and get something far more advanced than what we are receiving in return. And so that's why we asked them to give an offer here, and their offer, in my opinion, like John's, is far below a
What it's
reasonable
worth.
offer.
It's worth a lot more of that.
So there's two avenues of approach here, in my opinion. One, we can just say no, come back and submit a new offer, which in return, they're just gonna come back and say, okay, we'll give you $20. And we're gonna continue to do this for good knows how long. Or we can actually provide a counter. And I don't know if this needs to be a closed session for negotiations.
But the onus is on them if they want that bad enough to come up with an offer that's acceptable. Why should we
Sure.
spend money to go recruit business we don't need up there in the first?
Well, this is, I'm in agreement. I'm not in favor of sending this to the attorneys to draft something and send back. However, I think we can direct the clerk or Rick or whoever's been communicating with our counter. And then once we have a verbal agreement, then we can draft a single updated. This is a resolution, it's an ordinance.
Oh, he drafted that. That's another.
Okay.
So let's find what the value of that's worth, I guess, is what you're saying, either through Sandy or
Well,
through our law firm or something.
If you guys remember, I had previously suggested to him, because we've been bantering for 2 years now, I had previously suggested to him when he was not in favor of doing additional funds or an additional rental amount each month, that perhaps the agreement then offer us a free fiber line at the water
We don't need
tower.
any of that.
But that was also not discussed, shared, or anything. He just came back with the $10.
I believe when he was here,
His attitude isn't, looks
my
like he doesn't. like
suggestion
it.
was that we amend the agreement and extend it at the same time, which would keep the legal fees down. Why make a new one now, for $10 and cause our legal fees to be more in legal fees and not extend it? So
Well, what's the space worth? He's adding faster service, so therefore there's probably gonna be a rate increase to the residents because it is faster. So he's making more money on this. I mean, what's the value of what he's doing? Then are we gonna get into this whole tit for tat match on him digging to the tower? Is he gonna be a responsible?
The concern I have is we have easements on the west side, and then this would now eat up easements on the east
He
side.
actually wants to go on the west side too.
Yeah.
Oh, he wants to be on the west side
Correct.
now?
He wants to be on the west side
But
of
he
the
wants
building.
to be not as far over as our current tenant.
I don't know, for $10, I wouldn't do
It
it.
ain't worth
No.
messing with.
Is it worth,
Not
is it worth them hooking up our property to the line, the fiber, and that way we have direct access to it and don't need a point-to-point Wi-Fi? I mean,
Did we just purchased that? I thought-
not for the
Not
water
for the
tower.
well.
Not for the- no.
The
The
only one we did.
well would be the only building that remains not on the fiber. Every
Right.
other building we own will. be
I'd
on
rather
fiber.
remain independent the way we are, at least from that party. That's just my personal opinion. Because I don't think the attitude or the behavior has ever been, he wants to work with the village. I walked away with more of a feeling of, you need me more than I need you, and that's just not true in this situation.
But what they're doing is trying to benefit our residents.
As are all the other providers we have in
Well,
Davis
I'm-
Junction.
I'm just
We don't
saying
get
it's-
Only ones that
benefits.
use their
Only-
service.
No, only
Correct.
ones that are eligible for their service. There are residents in this town that would
They're not
have
eligible.
attempted to use their service but are unable to because of where they point from. So as much as it benefits all residents, it's for all residents, it does
Right.
not.
I'm just saying to benefit the
I
resident.
wouldn't use the term it's for all residents because a resident needs to then elect and subscribe to their service.
But even
It's not a
if,
free service.
yes, but they're also not,
It's not
their
available to every
service,
resident.
their
But
service is not available to
The,
everyone.
the truth is any resident who uses their service could benefit from faster speed if that
Mhm,
were
and
claimed,
that's-
which I believe is probably
Mhm.
true. And which is a fair point, but
You're
$10 really?
you're gonna be limited, or he's gonna be limited to the weakest piece of equipment.
Sure.
On his network.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna guess that'll be the wireless connection.
I would agree too.
So, I mean, the fiber does increase it, but he's gonna be slowed back down by the wireless. I agree with Johnson.
It's up to the subscriber.
He needs us more than we need him. And the $10.
You gotta think of your residents too, but I mean, he's gotta at least cover our costs for, just the attorney's fees alone would be. it's gonna-
More than he'll be wanting to pay, and we'll be sitting here for months trying to squeeze blood out of
The
attorneys.
question is, do we just turn around and say no? Turn around and say resubmit, or do we provide counter?
Well, I
I
think-
can promise you, if we tell him to resubmit, he'll just nickel and dime us each increment.
Well, then that's being disrespectful, in my opinion.
So
He knows what that's worth.
is our turning point, legal fees then? I mean, is it?
Um,
They never like
What
to
do
pay
we
him.
receive each month for rent for the rest of them? It's like $450 bucks.
From him,
Yeah, from LR
$347.
each month for the rent on the rest of it. In comparison, what do we receive from Verizon?
1,500,
16, it's up to 16,
1600.
1660.
so.
Two different, what's it?
Still.
I know,
One
I
made
get
their
the
lease
point, but
agreement
I'm just,
long before the other.
what are other towns doing where, well, that might not be a good way to go either.
Uh,
There's gotta be.
Can I
a
ask a
market
couple
value.
questions?
Go ahead, Glenda.
Did we ever settle the matter with Verizon? And does Verizon, as far as service goes, compared to LR?
They're different, Verizon's is contracted for 4G or 5G cellular. LR is internet. So they're separate. They're home-based internet. So,
Okay, then my question is Newt Point then.
yeah, the competitor for LR would probably be Frontier or Mediacom or something
Or
like
that
that.
other gentleman that came and presented to you guys recently.
So, I mean, yeah, there's options, but
Where does the, do the other internet companies go off?
I have coax cable in the easements in the roadway.
Okay.
Are they on the tower, the other competitors?
Mm-mm.
No, I do not believe
No,
so.
no,
They're
they-
all coax cable
Yeah,
Underground.
buried in the ground in the easements and in the neighborhoods and
I
roadways.
have a box in my yard from Mediacom.
Yeah. Yeah, most of them are buried. LR's, I believe, our only internet provider up there.
Because they were the first, they have a original agreement that's been
Mhm.
slowly amended, but
3 name changes later.
the question still stands. How do we want to respond? I agree with Chris and John. I'm not gonna give an amendment.
How much money do we want to ask of them would be the
I would say that would be, if we're gonna get to that
fair?
task, when we go to closed session for that, for negotiation.
I would have to look at the closed session rules.
Or research a fair market value for that. I mean, there's.
Or we
There's gotta
appoint
be a
two
framework.
trustees
That too.
to communicate it outside of an open meetings act violation.
That
I'm already doing that on one, so I'm opting out.
Me too.
Nathan.
Can I make a suggestion?
Go ahead.
Charge them $1,500 a month, and if they don't like it, have them come back and counter offer.
You know, that's not a half bad idea.
I like that. How about this? Nathan, if you're willing to spearhead this, I will help you.
Okay.
I'll work with you on this and
Spend enough
educate you,
time.
I'll help give you my experience and education.
Baseball field anyway, so.
Do what?
We're spending enough time on the baseball field recently anyways.
So is the board okay with that?
I'm fine with
Baseball's on the
it.
field.
You know, any amount that we could save from having to have attorneys take care of it is
I would
all
agree.
the better for me.
Yes,
I
and
think
we're
so.
making some changes internally in the office to also reduce those fees, so.
You know, how long did we go through this?
I think that's the point of going this route versus sending it to an attorney.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, we'll go that route.
I have another suggestion.
Go ahead.
If they don't like the 1,500, cut them off completely and tell them, no, they can't do the work.
You can't do that. You have an agreement with them.
Yeah, they got an enforceable agreement right now. They just can't expand.
So they can't add on to the service
Right.
with current, without an amendment.
Correct.
Yeah, I'll send both of you their current lease agreement again, and maybe some of the email changes that, of course, you could see kind of where we're.
Do some research, yeah.
Of course, but not-
You can cut them off because they're asking for a different location.
They're asking for an extension of their current services, not an addition. This is like an addition to, not a replacement of.
I'm talking about the physical laying of the line itself. It no longer follows the agreement to the easement that you guys gave it to them.
Yeah, they don't have a line there currently, so they're not violating their current lease.
Shoot their
Yep.
signal and bounce it, right?
Mhm.
All right.
Repeater kind of.
I don't think I have anything else. Do I, Brenda?
No, you do not.
Budget on June 8th?
Budget is on June 8th. Moving on, anybody got anything or heard from Mr. Motisi on ordinance enforcement?
I do know that he's been out talking to some of our residents about their tall grass and weeds. It's just a reminder to mow.
Reminder to mow. Parks Committee,
And a weed whip.
Yes, and weed whip.
John?
Never heard it come with before.
Me and Nate, we're gonna be trying to meet with Fair Graham this week. I haven't heard back from Nate, so I don't know, maybe with the upcoming holiday, if that's gonna be something that's going to happen a little bit later than we had planned. Once again, we're moving along with the pond is obviously the priority in all of these talks. So as soon as I have something to update, I'll bring it back to everybody. Just a quick Google search. The average water tower lease rates for these types of things is an average of 2.7 increase per year. Lease rates, depending type of service, revenue generated from service range from $100 per month to $10,000 per month.
Yeah, no,
So it's about what is he making from it is how you really
Yeah.
get to what that's really worth.
in talking to other clerks over the years, it's really
probably not a
just,
lot, but
Anything.
it's anything. It's really dependent upon the municipality.
I mean, I don't
Haven't
know.
we had enough problems with the water tower?
I don't want to keep beating that
not
horse.
to go cheap?
It's not the water tower. They're not changing anything on the tower.
Yeah.
They're just putting a line from the easement, from the road to the base of the tower where they already have. it.
So they
Do we
can-
know
background.
how many feet, what the measurement is?
Yeah, I looked it up the
Yeah.
other day. I don't have it off the top of my head.
All right, moving on. Streets and ditches.
They started peeling North Junction Road, so anybody who's been on it should be able to see the construction. That's about it. 3 weeks? Something like that?
No, if everything goes right, they're hoping within a week, depending on
I
weather.
thought that schedule was longer than that.
So, no,
Weather's kind of tricky.
they were gonna try to mill it in one day.
I know they milled it.
So, when do we hope they'll tentatively be done?
It depends on the weather. I would hope, worst case scenario, beginning of next week.
There you go. That's all we got for streets and ditches. Unless you have anything else.
I do not.
Utilities.
There has been brought to our attention that there's some verbiage in the service pipes and connections report about responsibility of where the pipe comes from. So the way it reads right now, it says all repairs on water surface pipes from water mains to the plumbing system of any property will be made at the sole cost and expense of the property owner. So in other words, the little shut off B box I've been told it's called is the homeowner's responsibility all the way up to the water main. So if, for instance, we go on to shut off that B box, we're shutting off their property while we're on there, the homeowner's property. So what's being asked is to take over up to the B box. So
Our language says that from,
all repairs and water surface pipes from water mains to the plumbing system of any property will be made at sole cost and expense of the property owner.
I think we should own the B box.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we should own the line from the main
To the
up
To the
to
B-box,
box and
to the shop.
including the B box. We should own the B box. Otherwise, we're shutting off equipment that doesn't belong to us.
But we don't shut that off. Well, the
Yes.
village shuts it off. Yes, the village should own up to the
Yes.
B box and including the
I
B
would-
box, in my opinion. And what we're asking
Can't
to
believe we
be
don't.
potentially changed in the verbiage of the file here,
This
or of
ordinance.
the ordinance.
Is that an oversight?
Okay.
I think that ordinance is fairly old, and I just don't think it ever got updated.
And that's pretty standard, right? The
2012.
village owns the line up through the B box.
When it comes to water,
Yeah.
I can't say that it's 100% every town there is. The towns that I'm familiar with, typically the municipality owns from the water main to the B box. That's pretty standard. I'm not saying it's that way
Right.
everywhere, but it is fairly common. And that is the way we have been operating since the water
We
system was
don't own it.
installed.
Wouldn't we be trespassing when we shut somebody's B box off?
Aren't they
We would need
usually in the
permission, right?
easement?
We should so, right?
But
We still
aren't
have a
they in the
utility
easement?
easement.
Aren't they usually in the easement?
Yeah, we still have the easement.
It's either in the right of way or
But
the easement.
homeowner can still own these in the
I'm pretty
easement.
close to
The
not
B
in
box
the
is
easement.
shut off.
Yeah.
It's
I think
like
it needs to be changed.
on the edge, so.
Is that an internal or a Bill Renard?
That is, I'm gonna draft it and send it to Bill Renard.
Sounds
Is
good.
everybody okay with
Any
that?
objection?
No.
Alright.
Good catch.
Cool. Not I, but
Anything else?
the man. That was all I got. Came with big belt, big information tonight.
No, we had our pre-con for the SCADA. What is today? Tuesday? So that would have been yesterday. Real quick, to the point, basically just to get timelines, things like that, how we're going to start. So yeah, the clock is officially ticking for the SCADA project.
When they install and do training, it would be worth videotaping it for references for new employees or something? Or do they come with an online training?
It's not going to be a whole lot different operation of it. I mean, there's going to be a few additions here and there, but the basic operation, process control and everything is going to be very similar.
Okay.
You know, but we'll know more as it progresses though, William, so.
Anything on economic development from anybody?
I do have one more thing.
You have to wait till public.
I'm gonna piggyback on a SCADA project so that you guys are all aware of what's going on. So they installed the new iFiber to wastewater, which the speeds out in wastewater now I hear are amazing.
Yes.
So now we should be able to connect wastewater to Village Hall, but every time we plug it in, Village Hall goes from 300 megabytes to 30. So we are trying to figure out what the issue is in the connection line. I've been talking to both of our current IT people and NIU Net, who runs the fiber for us, and we just can't figure out what's going on. At some point, though, once the SCADA system is up and running, that's going to have to become a priority because my goal is to use our server as a backup to the SCADA system. So you may see some invoices for that come across, but everybody's pointing fingers at each other right now. And regardless, I just have to leave it unplugged for now. So just so you're aware that's going on.
Did they restart everything?
Yes. Oh, yes.
It's my IT fix.
Yes.
You take it out, you count to 10.
Oh, we
Bring it
did
back.
that. I had to bypass the server on my tablet. So when I do that, could be like, see, it's not us, it's you. It's been a mess, but
Sounds like a switch.
And who whose responsibility is it?
We don't know yet.
We're not
iFiber?
sure. iFiber says that their service is just fine. Our IT says, no, there's something in their line pushing through IP addresses, so we can't, nobody really knows at this point. I've asked them, I've removed myself from the center of the circle and asked them to communicate amongst themselves.
Correct.
Sounds like
back
we're
with
being
a
bogged down
solution.
by a filter to slow it down the speed, like when you're only buying a certain package, but it shouldn't be that way for us.
Chris wondered if maybe there's something on the other end dishing out IP addresses, because when it knocked our server off because it was trying to align it to a different IP address. And so whatever it is, they started speaking some language outside of my ability. So I just asked them to please take care of it, but we might see some invoices for that.
I don't know, why would we see it? Why would we be paying? Oh, maybe for Chris,
For
but not
our
for,
person.
not for iFiber.
No, we won't pay for our fiber. We'll pay for Chris to do the work, and Kenny Leamer, since he helped with some installations recently, has also been trying to help us figure it out.
Anything further from the board? Anything from the public?
Not for me.
Nice having you again, Glenda.
It's nice to have you again.
On that note, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourned.
Thanks.
I made a motion to adjourn. Chris seconded. Any discussion? I can't do it all here.
Yes, you can. We're
What do we
back
want?
all in favor.
All in favor, say
I
aye.
just want to know what we're gonna.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, we're adjourned at 7:30.